My favourite story of the week. On March the 12th, 1989, Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. The anniversary is actually next week, but the Pew Research Center this week came up with a fascinating poll, which really gives us a snapshot of the last 25 years and tells us about our attitudes to the internet. John, what did Pew find?
Well, I thought one of the
Are we as addicted as we seem?
Yeah, I think clearly, we are. I think it said something like 96% of adults with a college education use the internet on a daily basis. We use it through our phones. Sort of all the obvious things I think that we, in a modern era, think that by looking around ourselves we see. One of the things I thought that was most fascinating about this was that they found that a majority of Americans, or at least respondents to the poll, and that may be part of the problem, felt that the internet was a positive place and that they had not had a negative interaction, which they must not be journalists.
They don't have Twitter feeds and all of the abuse that we get every day.
They don't get comments on their stories.
Right. They've never been involved in a Facebook thread about politics or religion. It was a fascinating idea that because people have to have seen these kind of crazy arguments that go on. They go on my Facebook page all the time. My friends start going at it when I post a story. But the fact that they see that not as a negative thing, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they feel like having public discourse, even if it gets a little crude and rude, is a positive, and maybe that's good. I don't know.
Ruth, a lot of people said that they would find it very hard to give up.
Yes, indeed. Almost impossible to give up. If you've ever had the experience of having your internet down for an hour or two, you know that
it is amazing how fast we've become addicted.
You are paralyzed in your work life. I mean, being on the internet, and there's a line about this in the report on the study, is essentially the primary activity of many, if not most, Americans. That's what we do. Sometimes I think what I do is I go to work and I manage my email. But to look at this and to recognize that the internet is such a baby and that the technology that grows out of the internet is in such its infancy and how dramatically it's transformed our lives. One of the little numbers that's embedded in here is the sliver of people who now I think it's 17%, would have a hard time living without their landlines. Landlines are an artifact of the past. But we cannot live without our cell phones and our smartphones.
The World Wide Web, which turns 25 next week. If you've got a moment, check out the Pew poll. It is absolutely fascinating.